How are you using Wehave today?
So first of all, like you were referring, it gives like we build our sponsoring in several steps. So we have a couple of guidelines. We have the guidelines or guiding principles in branding value, but also in performance value. If you want to like set targets for the future, you have to know where you're at. So the first thing in that data clean room is to see what the market share is. As you're referring to in your introduction of this question, we see that our audience was declining and declining very hard in the last 2 years. So what we did was an upload of the database of Anderlecht and the database of Sunweb of the last 2 years to see whether people are booking. And of course, it's a worst case scenario because you can't know if the woman has booked in the family or it's booked under another name. But yet we see a lot of growth. And you see from the moment you appear on those shirts, on those jerseys, you see that the declining stops. And then you start building. And the first thing is the analysis. The second thing is that you can maintain the ROI. Every time you do an activation, you see that there is an increase in bookers. There's a reactivation of all bookers. And there's also an overlap that starts building and that starts growing. And with that overlap, you can target them on the online campaigns. And that's the most interesting part because you transfer those audiences in your normal campaigns where you're very depending on a lot of platforms and tech giants, but now you put in your own database, your own segments, and you can target them with, of course, and that's the nice part. In those overlap database, you have fans, and sports sponsoring is really attached to the emotional connection from the fan with Anderlecht in this case. And what you see is when our campaigns in those overlaps, so the campaigns we serve to the Anderlecht audience is really a joint effort. It's like referring to Anderlecht and building that same connection with that fan using the partnership. And that's one of the most interesting things. So you can do the analysis. You can really, after each activation, you see the numbers growing. You see the number of leads growing. You see what's entering in the database, but you also see the overlap growing. And that's the interesting part because then you can really set some goals and some targets in some business objectives. And that's very important because back again to what is a sponsoring, you have, of course, business objectives, you have marketing objectives and communication objectives. And through the data clean room, you can really define clear business objectives because that will come out of the tool.